All right, folks, we're going to get back to that breaking news where Iran has launched an attack on 2 U.S. air bases in Iraq.
Officials say dozens of ballistic missiles were fired at the bases occupied by both U.S. and allied forces. The White House has confirmed with NBC News that President Donald Trump won't be making a televised address tonight. All this was happening in the middle of the night in western Iraq. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Defense Secretary Mark Esper arrived at the White House after Iran fired the rockets off. Iran has warned the U.S. and other allies against retaliating. Iran had promised retaliation for the killing of a top Iranian general ordered by President Trump.
Now, within the last 30 minutes, the FAA is now announcing the banning of all civilian flights over Iraq, Iran, in the waters of the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. And we're reaching out to Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport to see if any of those flights have been impacted as well.
Our Jeff Hullinger is standing by with more context and perspective in tonight's attack. Jeff, tell us more what you're learning right now.
All right, guys, thank you. Joining me right now is Todd Stein. He is the Majority Counsel for the U.S. Senate Homeland Security Committee. You have a resume that's like this. You're an attorney. You're an amazing life and an analyst that we've used over the years. We're glad to have you here with us tonight. Give me your view of the events over the last week. And by that, if you would frame your view and what we should be looking at right now in terms of the killing of General Soleimani.
Well, first we have to ask what happened, right? General Soleimani was killed by the U.S. government in a covert operation while he was moving around in the wide open. Soleimani was a bad man, to say it mildly. He should be one of the most household names that Americans should know, on par with Osama bin Laden. You know, he was responsible for killing 600 troops during the U.S.-Iraq War, many more going all the way back to the '83 Beirut bombing in Lebanon. So in terms of him being a bad actor, as the United States is concerned, he was as bad as it gets. So was his death warranted? Was the president's decision to kill him warranted? Most certainly based on historical past.
Framing him by history. This is more than just a general. This is more than just a bad guy by the definition of the United States. This is a general, certainly in the form of Erwin Rommel, of Montgomery, of all of these great historical figures that we have seen that have been military men. Getting rid of him is more than just getting rid of someone that we perceive as a terrorist. This is an architect of Iran. And it's more than that. He pulls all of the levers of power in that country.
He does, but we also know from countries like Iran that they can replace themselves rather quickly. And there's a whole theory about whether or not decapitation of a terrorist group or a government works in terms of delegitimizing their purposes. So this individual was individually responsible for Americans' death, but as a part of the broader regime, killing him alone will not take down the regime. They will easily replace him. They'll easily find somebody new to do it. However, you know, he definitely was somebody who had been in the forefront for the last 30 years and, you know, leading the charge in terms of Iranian-sponsored terrorism.
A lot of complaints from Congress about not being notified, not being consulted in all of this. And we really have seen that issue transpire over the last 20 years. The presidents, and no matter who the president may be, they don't trust Congress, and it's reciprocal.
You could look at it as a matter of trust between the White House, executive branch, and Congress, but it's actually a lot deeper than that. You know, we think back to 9/11. We were attacked here, arguably unprovoked. We didn't expect it. The response back from the White House was, we can take unilateral action to protect America, commander-in-chief powers in the Constitution. And so the general thinking in Washington from 9/11 onward has been that the White House can do whatever it thinks is necessary to defend the American people and then go talk to Congress afterwards. So Congress's role over the last 20 years has really dissipated when it comes to national security and foreign policy. And I think that's one of the most unnerving parts of what has happened. Yes, Soleimani perhaps deserved the death that he got. However, there's sort of the seeming feeling of lack of control about what happens next. And the American people's voice comes through Congress and their exercise of oversight over the White House. However, because of that dissipation of power from Congress to the White House on national security and foreign policy, we've sort of lost that voice, and we sort of have a unilateral action now out of the White House, and nobody's quite sure what's going to happen next. And I think that creates anxiety and uncertainty for many people who are watching this happen.
Some reporting from the New York Times over the last couple of days that the Pentagon and many of the top military people in this country were aghast at the idea that he would indeed try to kill this general. President Bush had that opportunity, but he didn't want any part of it. President Obama also had an opportunity. He wasn't going to touch it. This president opted for the extreme measure here, and there is that great concern that this decision was made perhaps in a moment of anger or just as a reflex.
It's easy to do the decision to kill, right? You have the chance to make that attack. The hardest part is always what's step 2, what's step 3, what happens next? And how do you game that out? And the truth is nobody, no expert on Iran, no expert on Iraq, no expert on the Middle East can tell you what happens next. It is purely speculative at this point. And the only thing that we can control is our response now to the attacks in Iraq this evening. Do we escalate it even further? Do we not escalate it? But once again, there's no check on the White House on how this happens. There's also been no sort of announcement of what the broader threat is to American interests, both in the region and then also here in the homeland.
We only have seconds left. There has been the conventional wisdom among many on the right in this country that Iran is a culture, is a country that does not understand, nor are they willing to tolerate negotiation, that they understand force with force. Do you buy into that? Do you believe that Iran is a country that perhaps will understand violence more than they would understand what we view as Western diplomacy?
I think Iranian leadership would respond more to force than they do diplomacy. They will take full advantage of all the diplomacy that they can in terms of finding the weakness. Just like water, they'll find the cracks. Yeah. However, and they do respond much differently to force. But at the same time, we have to exercise our force or think about our force with some sort of broader context of what we're trying to achieve. And certainly the president has something in mind. I do think it's incumbent on the White House and the president to explain that to the American people as he pushes us further into an armed engagement like this.
Todd Stein, we're always so pleased to have you here. Thanks for coming in tonight on short notice. Your insight is of such value, understanding these complicated issues that are so vexing, for so many generations through here.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Todd.